Welcome back to Flashpoint. This week, Charlotte City leaders taking the next step in bringing new transportation options here to the Queen City. Council moving forward with a $5 million plan to update the design of the CAT's Red Line commuter train. Now, it would connect Iredell County to northern Mecklenburg communities to Uptown. And the conversation, it has been now years in the making after the original design for the commuter train was completed back in 2009. But now there is renewed hope of action as leaders believe Norfolk Southern could be willing to allow public transportation onto their already existing track. Joining us now, Charlotte City Councilman Ed Driggs. He's the chair of the city's Transportation Planning and Development Committee. Councilman, welcome back to Flashpoint. We appreciate it as always.
Good morning.
So this week, City Council decided to revisit the Red Line commuter rail. Now, I know, having spoken to you about this in the past, one of the big holdups in the past was the plan was dependent on using the existing Norfolk Southern tracks. Now, previously, the company seemed cold to the idea. Has that changed?
We have seen some very promising developments, and we're hoping that we'll have a breakthrough there that will allow us to proceed with other aspects of our mobility plan.
And I understand there's probably some privacy issues here as negotiations happen behind the scenes, but you're indicating there has been some movement there that could make this a reality.
There have been very promising developments, and we are hopeful that we will be able to proceed with the rest of our mobility plan, having dealt with this issue, which held us up for quite a long time.
How about this whole design process you guys signed off on this past week? What is it designed to do?
The $5 million that was approved was originally authorized months ago. And now what we did at our last meeting was we authorized the manager to go ahead and actually commit those funds. And they will be used for an update of the design and other research that was done into the development of the line, I think in 2007 or, many years ago. And the situation has changed. So basically the $5 million will help us get up to date in terms of our assessment of that situation.
As you know, many people in northern part of the county were put off by the overall transit plan in the last couple of years, the mobility plan, because it seemed to prioritize the Silver Line after promises early on, as you mentioned back in 2007, that the Red Line could be the focus after the Blue Line. Does this new development that we're speaking of, does this change the priority, make it more of a priority?
Well, I think we need to recognize that the issue the northern towns had in particular was that when the half-cent sales tax was approved in 1998, they had an expectation of a red line then, and it just didn't happen. And I believe the feeling on the part of the towns was that their overall benefit from the half-cent sales tax as a result was less than they wanted. So they wanted to be very sure in order to participate this time that there wouldn't be another disappointment. And the fact that the Silver Line was being prioritized maybe heightened those fears.
So will that change in your mind if you're responsible?
I think if we get the progress that we're talking about on the Red Line, we will be able to demonstrate a tangible timeline and results in that area, and which I'm hoping will satisfy the concerns of the northern towns and allow us all to work together towards the realization of the larger plan.
Speaking of the larger plan, what does this mean for the broader $13 billion mobility plan? The Silver Line, the bike lanes, the bus routes, because you still need the support of the Republican General Assembly, which has not been on board as of recently. Is that changing?
We haven't actually engaged with the legislature to the extent that we should have. They have communicated to us they don't agree with the component of rail, how large it is in the overall plan. And so I would say we have work to do there. It's not an issue of outright opposition. What I've heard from the leadership is they understand the need. They recognize the importance of the Mecklenburg County area for the economy of North Carolina. And so I think they will support, but we're going to need to talk to them some more about exactly what the plan is.
This past week, there's that transportation summit, I believe on Monday. Does the city have, in your view now, the support of regional stakeholders when it comes to this transit plan?
We are working with Connect Beyond, a longstanding process by the Central Carolina Council of Governments to create a regional plan, and their membership, which comprises 12 counties and 5,000 square miles, 2.6 million people, is generally on board with the creation of this plan, has been working on this plan, Their committee advancing the plan right now is thinking about what the governance structure would look like for a regional partnership. So that is all well underway, and we are aligning ourselves with that.
In your view, what's the best case scenario for all this panning out? What's the timeline as far as the design for the red line, getting some approval, getting this on the ballot, because voters still have to approve this? What's the updated timeline as you see it?
I think the first event needs to be the creation of a new revenue source. And that means the legislature has to authorize a referendum in which the public would decide whether a new sales tax can be levied in order to pay for everything. We've got to get that in place. The best case timeline for that would be to have the referendum next year. After that, there will be quick progress on nearer term projects like buses and things like that that can be realized soon. And the rail projects do require a lot of design, engineering, and other work so that the actual in-service dates for those would be a little further down the road.
You mentioned the long term. Let me ask you about something in the short term. Beyond the big picture of all this, you still have, over the last year, drama playing out at CATS about how it's been operating, or some would say lack of operating. And it's played out in a variety of ways. Do you feel like the operations at CATS is getting better?
I think we've resolved the issues there. There has been a complete change of the leadership at CATS, and Brent Cagle, who is the former airport director and is currently an assistant city manager, has done a great job of spearheading remediation efforts to address the issues that have been identified. So I would say the CATS situation is now under control. We continue to recruit more staff. The various inspections and repairs and things that needed to be done are catching up. So I think CAT's in an okay place and is not the obstacle to progress on our larger plan that it probably was for a while those stories were breaking.
That's good to hear. All right. Councilman Ed Driggs. Councilman, thanks for coming on. We appreciate it as always.
Good to see you.
All right. Take care. More Flashpoint after this.